Welcome and brace yourselves as we dive deep into the intriguing world of social psychology. Imagine you're in a room full of people. You're all looking at the same painting, hearing the same music, or tasting the same dish. Yet, each one of you will have a unique reaction to the experience. Why is that? This is where social psychology comes into play. Social psychology is the scientific exploration of how people's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are shaped by the actual, imagined, or implied presence of others. It's like a backstage pass into the human mind, revealing the unseen influences that guide our responses to the world around us. Think about it. Our behavior isn't just a result of our own thoughts and feelings, it's also a response to what we think others are thinking and feeling. We're not just individuals acting in isolation, we're part of a complex web of social interactions, each influencing and being influenced by the others. But why does social psychology matter? Why should we care about these invisible strings that tie us to one another? Well, understanding social psychology can help us make sense of why people do what they do. It can illuminate why we might feel pressured to conform to group norms, or why we might behave differently in a crowd than when we're alone. It can shed light on why we're more likely to help someone if we think others are watching, or why we might change our opinions based on what we think is popular. In other words, social psychology helps us understand not just ourselves, but also the world around us. It's a key that unlocks the mystery of human behavior, giving us insights into how we interact with others and why we make the decisions we do. So, now that we've defined what social psychology is, let's delve into some fascinating case studies. Ever felt pressured to agree with a group, even when you know they're wrong? This phenomenon is called conformity, and one of the most compelling studies demonstrating this concept was the Asch conformity experiments. In the mid-20th century, psychologist Solomon Asch conducted a series of experiments to investigate the extent to which social pressure from a majority group could affect a person's conformity. Participants were presented with a simple task, comparing the length of lines. They were shown one line and then three others. The task was to identify which of the three lines matched the original in length. Simple, right? Well, here's the twist. The participant was in a room with several other people who were in on the experiment and purposefully gave the wrong answer. The participant, unaware of this setup, was left in a predicament. Should they trust their own judgment and choose the obviously correct answer, or conform to the group's incorrect consensus? Astoundingly, Asch found that a significant number of participants conformed to the majority view, even when it was clearly wrong. On average, about 1/3 of the participants in the experiments went along with the clearly incorrect majority. These findings have profound implications. They suggest that our desire to fit in with a group can override our own judgment, even when we know the group is wrong. This tendency towards conformity can be seen in many aspects of our lives, from the clothes we wear, the music we listen to, the political views we hold, and even the choices we make about our health. But remember, while conformity is a powerful social force, it's not always negative. It can also foster unity, cooperation, and social harmony. What's critical is to be aware of when it's happening and to have the courage to stand by our own convictions when it's necessary. As we can see, our desire to fit in can sometimes override our better judgment. Next up, we explore an extreme case of social influence, the infamous Stanford Prison Experiment. In the summer of 1971, psychologist Philip Zimbardo and his team set out to study the psychological effects of perceived power. They transformed the basement of the Stanford University Psychology Building into a mock prison and recruited 24 male students who had no criminal background and were deemed physically and psychologically healthy to play the roles of prisoners and guards. The students were randomly assigned their roles, and it wasn't long before they began to internalize them. The guards, given sunglasses and batons, began to exert authority, often in cruel and dehumanizing ways. The prisoners, on the other hand, started to exhibit signs of stress and depression. As the experiment progressed, the environment became increasingly toxic. The guards grew more abusive and the prisoners more distressed. All this happened so quickly that the experiment, originally planned to last 2 weeks, was abruptly ended after just 6 days. The Stanford Prison Experiment is a stark demonstration of how quickly individuals can conform to assigned roles, even to the point of harming others. It showed us how social situations and systems can influence individuals' behavior, often more powerfully than we realize. However, it's important to highlight the ethical concerns this experiment raised. The participants were subjected to emotional trauma, and the lines between simulation and reality were dangerously blurred. Critics argue that Zimbardo, who acted as both the experiment's designer and its prison superintendent, lost objectivity and allowed the situation to escalate too far. The Stanford Prison Experiment remains a controversial topic in psychology. While it's been criticized for its ethical shortcomings, it has also made a significant contribution to our understanding of human behavior. It forces us to question the power of roles, authority, and situational forces in shaping our actions and identities. This experiment showed us the dark side of social influence and the power of roles in our society. Ever wondered why people sometimes do nothing in emergencies? This is known as the bystander effect. A startling concept, isn't it? Yet, it's a phenomenon deeply ingrained in our social psychology. To understand this better, let's delve into a heartbreaking incident that led to its discovery. In the early hours of March 13, 1964, a young woman named Kitty Genovese was brutally attacked on her way home in New York City. Despite her desperate cries for help, 38 witnesses allegedly did nothing. This horrifying incident sparked a nationwide conversation about human apathy and led two psychologists, Bibb Latané and John Darley, to investigate further. They proposed the bystander effect, a social psychological theory suggesting that people are less likely to help someone in distress if other bystanders are present. The more people present, the less personal responsibility individuals feel, leading to a diffusion of responsibility. This phenomenon is not about people being heartless or cruel, but rather about a powerful, subconscious social influence at play. Latané and Darley conducted a series of experiments to prove their theory. In one, they simulated a crisis situation and found that when participants thought they were the only ones aware of the crisis, they were significantly more likely to intervene. However, when they believed others were also aware, their likelihood of taking action decreased dramatically. Now you might be wondering, why does this matter? The implications of the bystander effect are far-reaching. It can manifest in various situations, from school bullying to workplace harassment and even global crises. Understanding this phenomenon can help us counteract its effects and promote a culture of intervention and empathy. In conclusion, the bystander effect is a fascinating yet sobering example of how social influences can impact our actions, or lack thereof, in critical situations. It's a stark reminder that we sometimes unconsciously conform to the inaction of others, even when it goes against our better judgment or our instinct to help. The bystander effect serves as a stark reminder of the potential negative impacts of social influence. It prompts us to question and challenge the societal norms that may inadvertently discourage us from acting when it matters the most. As we've seen, social psychology offers a fascinating insight into how we influence, and are influenced by, those around us. We've delved into the depths of this intriguing field, unraveling the mysteries of human behavior and interactions. We kicked off our journey with an introduction to social psychology, where we learned that it's all about understanding how our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are shaped by the social environment. We discovered that we're not just solitary beings but social creatures, deeply influenced by the dynamics of the groups to which we belong. Then we ventured into the Asch conformity experiments, a series of studies that revealed the power of group pressure. We found that, just to fit in, we could go against our better judgment and conform to the group's opinion, even when it's clearly wrong. It's a compelling demonstration of how potent social influence can be. Next, we delved into the Stanford Prison Experiment, a chilling study that showed how quickly people could adopt roles and behaviors in line with perceived social expectations. It demonstrated how conformity could lead us to act in ways that deviate from our norms and values. Finally, we looked at the bystander effect, a phenomenon that illustrates how the presence of others can inhibit us from taking action in a crisis. It shows that sometimes, the more people there are around, the less likely we are to help. In a nutshell, social psychology underscores the profound impact of social influence and conformity on our lives. It reminds us that we are not just individuals acting in isolation, but interconnected beings constantly shaping and being shaped by our social landscape. If this exploration of social psychology has piqued your interest, then you're in the right place. We delve into these areas and so much more in our upcoming videos. So, if you've enjoyed this journey through social psychology, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more intriguing insights into psychology and philosophy. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.